Did Kamala Harris plagiarize Martin Luther King? Now, before I get into this story, I just want to say, look, this is not the most important thing going on right now. Obviously, there's a pandemic, vaccines rolling out around the world, Trump and the GOP still trying to steal the election, a lot of important things happening. But what this does show us, once again, is just how phony most politicians are. So let me get into it here. First up, it all starts with this interview in Elle magazine, this complete puff piece on Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is our new Vice President-elect. Now, let me get to the part where may have been plagiarized. So, Senator Kamala Harris started her life's work young. She laughs from her gut, the way you would with family, as she remembers being wheeled through an Oakland, California civil rights march in a stroller with no straps with her parents and her uncle. At some point, she fell from the stroller, and the adults, caught up in the rapture of the protest, just kept on marching. By the time they noticed little Kamala was gone and doubled back, she was understandably upset. Quote, "My mother tells me this story about how I'm fussing," Harris says, and she's like, "Baby, what do you want? What do you need?" And I just looked at her and I said, "Freedom." Yeah. Look, even apart from the plagiarism, the potential plagiarism that I'll get to in a second, this is such a dumb story. Look, maybe this isn't aimed at me. Maybe you read this and your heart melted. I read this and I laughed at how stupid this was. But that's me. Getting to the plagiarism part now, though. So Andre Demise got a tweet, or saw a tweet from Engels Freddy, who discovered this. So he tweets out here, "So it turns out Kamala Harris lifted her freedom story from a 1965 Playboy interview with Martin Luther King by Alex Haley. Much thanks to Engels Freddy for spotting the similarity." So let me show you exactly, likely, where this story originated. So here's the Playboy interview. I'll link to all this below the video as well, so you can read through it. But quoting MLK, he says here, "I never will forget a moment in Birmingham when a white policeman accosted a little Negro girl, 7 or 8 years old, who was walking in a demonstration with her mother. Quote, 'What do you want?' the policeman asked her gruffly. And the little girl looked him straight in the eye and answered, 'Feed him.' She couldn't even pronounce it, but she knew it. It was beautiful." The similarities are impossible to ignore. A little girl in a protest being asked what she wants, and she wants freedom or feed him. So before I even get to the possibilities here, New York Post writes here, Harris told the same story in the preface of her 2010 book, Smart on Crime, writing how her mother used to laugh while telling others about the moment. She also referenced it in her 2019 book, The Truths We Hold, An American Journey. So after reading that Kamala Harris has discussed this before, how her mother told this story, I'm beginning to think that Kamala Harris didn't knowingly plagiarize this from MLK, but actually her mother did. Her mother told this story, took it for her own from the MLK interview, and treated it like it was their own story and used it when they were talking with family and stuff. And of course, never expected Kamala Harris to, become a politician and run for president and tell the story herself. So look, yes, of course, Kamala Harris could have knowingly stole it from the MLK interview, but you got to be a pretty dumb politician to not realize that would come out at some point, especially, in the age of the internet. Like, it's one thing when it comes to Joe Biden, who has a long history of plagiarism. I don't think he really understands how easy it is to find out when he plagiarizes. I mean, especially now. You go back to the 1980s, Joe Biden caught plagiarizing a number of times in his speeches. He stole a speech from a UK politician that eventually was discovered. He admitted to plagiarism as well in college. So Joe Biden has a long history of plagiarism, but he was doing it back when there was no Google. When you're doing it in the age of the internet, you got to be pretty dumb to not realize at some point someone's going to find out. So I actually think her mom just told the story, took the story from MLK, and Kamala Harris told it herself. So as I said, look, this is not the most important thing going on right now, but at the same time, it does show you just what these politicians rely on when it comes to maintaining any kind of support base. It's always more about the celebrity as opposed to actually what they have been fighting for, what they fight for. I mean, Kamala Harris, at the beginning of the pandemic, supported $2,000 a month. And where has that fight been since becoming the vice president-elect? I mean, she completely folded when it came to pushing a motion to move forward the Bernie Sanders idea of a $2,000 check. Bernie Sanders working with Elizabeth Warren and other Democrats to try and push that through. Kamala Harris voted against their ability to continue pushing that through. So look, it's one thing if you rely on dumb stories like this, and but you also fight for people, when you're actually in Congress, in the Senate, as vice president. But Kamala Harris has not shown that fight for people. Kamala Harris, like most politicians, have simply relied on their celebrity while doing the bidding of big donors and massive corporations.